Good evening, Midlands African Chamber. My name is Shay Oluwolafe, and I'm the Vice President of Advocacy and Community Engagement, if I can spit that out tonight. I am your host tonight for another edition of our Power Hour, brought to you by our champion, the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation. Big thanks and gratitude goes out to the Kauffman Foundation for sponsoring these Power Hours to provide you and the rest of us in our community the social capital that we need in order to build, grow, and sustain our businesses. Tonight's guest speaker is none other than a community organizer, an advocate herself, Yashelle Davis. But before we begin, as always, I would like to go through the things that are happening in our chamber and the upcoming events. First and foremost, our Suit Up initiative is back up and opening. As you approach these next holidays, and you're getting new clothes or anything else that you want to be able to donate off that are likely used for professional attire, the Midlands African Chamber is accepting those donations so we can benefit those who are coming up after us. So that's first and foremost is happening. You can drop that off at the Midlands African Chamber office or at our partner's office, and you find that on our website. Second, we are having a holiday party with the Urban League of Nebraska on December 8th. The last time we had a cohort with the Urban League of Nebraska was our roll call in September, and I can tell you, you do not want to miss a good time with the Urban League and the Midlands African Chamber. Join us for that. And last but not least, we have a Contractors Connect on December 9th, hosted by the Whites Company, to have contractors of people of color who are contractors come in and sit down and to explain how their process works in order so that you can get bids and become subcontractors to their projects. But before we bring on Yashelle, I do want to start off with saying the Pitch Black Accelerator is now open for applications. In the last 2 years, we've had Pitch Black, and Pitch Black has been a business competition that we put on, and essentially it's much similar to Shark Tank. The only difference is we don't ask for equity in anybody's business. What we look to do is impart capital into your business. Upwards in the last 2 years, it was $10,000 for first place, and all 5 finalists received cash prizes as well as in-kind gifts. Now, this year is a little bit different because as we grow and as we mature and as we get better in doing what we do, we also meet people where they are. And that's part of what the chamber is about. We practice what we preach. And so what we found is it's no longer beneficial just to have a bunch of people apply and throw them into a bunch of sharks to say, hey, can you answer a bunch of questions about your business? We feel that the need for social capital is that much more important that we've now branched this out to be an accelerator. We are taking people who want to be a part of this accelerator and to grow and scale their business. You do not have to have a business already. You just have to have an idea. If you have a business already, even better. But one way or another, we are here to grow and champion, empower, and connect your business. So I implore you to go to wepitchblack.com, apply today. Applications are open. This is going to be limited amount of spacing, so you do not want to miss this. And don't do like the rest of us do and wait and procrastinate to the end and wait till the last minute. You want to be prepared. Preparation is the key. And in this particular instance, you don't want to miss this opportunity because it's not just about a capital investment in you. It's about the social capital investment in you. So those are my announcements for this month. But last but not least, before I bring on Yashelle, I do want to indicate one last thing. And that last thing is, if you did not know, in the state of Nebraska, by proclamation, the governor, Mr. Pete Ricketts, has dedicated this entire month, Midlands African Chamber Month, due to the gratitude gala and the gratitude that we have to building up our community. And so first and foremost, I need to thank the governor and thank everyone who's made this month possible and the appreciation of Midlands African Chamber, the things that we do. So without any further ado, my guests, my special guests. And I hands down, thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us. You coming from the Heartland
Workers Center.
Workers Center. And for those who don't know you, why are you where you are?
Well, I'm here because of my passion. You know, I'm born in Omaha, Nebraska. I was brought up in Omaha, Nebraska. I come from that generation that pretty much got the gang banging and drug dealing dumped on it. You know, prior to drugs and gangs coming into Omaha, you know, we were rapping and in dance groups. You know, we were just kids having a good old time. And then, you know, we looked up and it's like, there's people here talking about, I'm from California, I'm a Crip. I'm from California, I'm a Blood. And this is how we do it out there. And we looking like, okay, we love rap music and everything like that. But, you know, we're not gang banging or we're not slanging around here. And they looking like, well, yeah, if y'all with the culture, you know, then that's what it is. And, you know, so my generation, you know, we had never seen anything like that. And we indulged, you know, and we got involved and stuff, you know, changed very in a blink of an eye. We were like seeing our peers, you know, murdered, receiving long sentences in the penitentiary, indictments, you know. I never even heard of an indictment. You know, we're looking up and 17-year-old boys, you're indicted, you know, and we're looking like, you know, what's going on, you know, and it's like, you know, we got caught up in that. And then it was like, how do you get out of it? And by the time I realized how to get out of it, I successfully got out of it. And then I, you know, wanted to just reach back. You know, I was doing rap music still, and I continued my rap career. I mean, I just stopped rapping, believe it or not, less than 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
If that long. But, you know, I just kind of, you know, wanted to bring my experience to the world, you know, to the city. I just kind of wanted to share what was happening because I know it was new. I know we didn't know what to do, you know. So it's like, you know, this stuff comes through like it's glitter, it's gold, it's great. But it's like one of the worst things you'd ever want to get involved with because it has such bad, you know, repercussions. And, you know, so many of us still suffering from the impact of it. So it's like being that I did participate in it, you know, this is my way of righting my wrongs. You know, I gave you that. I got boys in my family, men in my family, I should say now, that I turned them on to that. And they, you know, and they went to jail. They, you know, they didn't have some bad stuff happen. And I don't like when they kind of mention, yeah, well, Shell introduced me to that, you know, and it's like, I introduced you to that. But now, since I figured things out, I want to introduce you to a healthier lifestyle, you know, and do the exact opposite of the damage that, you know, I participated in. So this right here is just me giving back to my community.
So tonight we're talking about advocacy and community engagement, and as you just alluded to your history of, you know, you were part of a community and you're part of a community that was on the wrong side of society, if that's appropriate terminology to use. And so tonight we're talking, you know, the background of where you were versus where you are today. And I guess the next question I have for you is, based upon you being in that culture now, figuring out that, you know, you want to give back, what does giving back look like right now for you?
It looks like me leading by example. You know, I'm not gangbanging. I'm not dealing drugs. The same system that worked against us, I'm learning that system from the inside, sharing what I'm learning with the outside. I'm all the things we always said, we, you know, like those who got incarcerated or didn't live to, you know, do more. You wanted to, you know, I remember people, I wanted to be this, I wanted to go to school, I wanted to do that. I'm going to school, you know. I'm working with the nonprofits that are trying to, you know, improve the communities. You know, our mission at the Heartland Workers Center, a piece of it is to create communities that work for all. You know, a lot of communities are just left out across the board. And what's happening, you know, it needs to happen for everybody and not just some. So me doing the work, getting people to vote, because how I actually got caught into this lifestyle. When I got my life together, I went to school and I got a degree in chemical dependency counseling. And the lady I went to work for, Dr. Donald Polk, she's been in the advocacy for years and things of that nature. So we spent a lot of time talking. And so I remember it was in 2018. And I'm telling her, I need a part-time job or something like, because I need to see a little more money. I'm thinking to myself, I'm used to touching more money, And so she looking at me like, okay, like, so you want a part-time job? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to find me a part-time job to stay on the straight and narrow. And so we were talking, and it was the midterm elections coming up in 2018. So we started talking about voting, and she was like, so, are you registered to vote? Or you planning on voting, right? And I was like, nah, I'm not voting. Like, I don't vote. And she looked at me and she said, you know what, Shell? I just never took you as the type of person who would allow other people to make decisions for them. And I look, and I've heard people try to convince you from all angles on why you should vote. But when she said that, she's a elderly sister that I totally have mad respect for. So when she said that, it kind of like, it struck me like, and it seemed like I could just see my life, right in front of me, like from the drugs, and the long sentences and the people we're getting, and the fact that I kind of felt like that whole influx of gang and drug activity, I felt like we were taken advantage of because we didn't know. So it's like when you don't know, you don't know. And we was like, okay, we thought it was the ticket out of there, and then it was the ticket to hell, But so when she, so I just never took you as a person who allowed people to make choices for them. I was just kind of thinking like, not only did I go through that and have to deal with the ramifications of that, but my adult children were dealing with gang life, because once it was became part of the culture in Omaha, I did my best as a mother to not expose them to that life. Someone might tell you that I was in the life, but my kids never saw it, because by the time I had kids, I was already out and, wanting better for them. But when she said that, I was just thinking to myself, I do a lot of self-educating of myself and things like that, but I could honestly sit here and say, not only do I not vote, but I don't even know how the government is ran. I don't even know how this stuff works. And if for you to be talking about a midterm election, I'm like, honestly, the only election I know about is a presidential election. So, I mean, I just realized at that point, I didn't even know what was going on around me, as it applied to government and civic engagement and, laws and the things that really taking advantage of us. I just realized I really didn't know nothing about it. So when she said it like that, it was challenging to me. It was like, that it came across as a challenge. Like, I'm learning this and that, but I honestly don't know anything about this. So now I'm challenging myself to learn more. And so Dr. Donna's so crafty. She goes and get the Heartland Workers Center and tells them, hey, I want you to come to one of our staff meetings because I want my staff to understand the importance of voting. So when the Heartland Workers Center came to our staffing, they were like, discussing civic engagement with us, what they, goals for the midterm election was. And then she says, hey, we're actually going to be paying people to knock on doors in North Omaha, canvassing. And so then she looks at me like, there go your part-time job. Knocking on doors, no. But honestly, I took that job. I took the challenge to take that on as a part-time job, and I knocked on doors in North Omaha, and it was really rewarding. And that's when I realized when I was out there knocking on doors, I was like, people would answer the door and be like, "Why, Shell? Like, what is you doing in my door, though?" And I used to be like, "Hey, I'm trying to make sure you and your family register to vote for this upcoming election." They looking like, vote? Like, we ain't thinking about voting. I'm like, yeah, but we got to think about voting. I was like, a lot of stuff going on is happening because, people are banking on us not getting out there and voting. I said, so, we got to turn the page. We got to, get on this and, become civically responsible. And so, I was having a conversation with people I know because I'm pretty popular in the community because I have been doing rap music. I am a part of this community. I've done things in this community. So people know me. Fortunately, I've been able to do it respectfully. So, I get respect, I give it. And with the civic engagement piece, I think it was new to a lot of us. And so seeing me take the lead in that, I was able to, you know, have the same conversation with family and friends. And they like, I don't care about voting. I almost can hit them with, I never took you as the type of person who would allow other people to make choices for you.
Well, it's funny you say that about it, because we just had our elections, last Tuesday?
Yes.
Right. And in last Tuesday, you know, the voter turnout, you know, I can't tell you where it is. But the reality is, especially from my standpoint, right? Because I'm a practicing attorney. And from my standpoint, when we look at what the jury pool looks like, and my clients are like, why can't I get a jury pool that is of my peers and actually looks like me? Well, you can go back to that whole point of, well, where the jury pool is derived from. And it's derived from the voters, the voter roster.
Right, exactly.
And we don't get out and sign up to vote.
Mm-hmm.
How can we ever get on the jury, you know, to even have an influence in that process? And it's an obligation, but you know, whose son, daughter, whomever is going to be there on the other side of that, sitting at that table, looking in the jury box, thinking, man, if my family members only had signed up to vote, not that they could have stayed on the jury due to bias, but my point is, you know, there's so much more than simply, you know, the voting. There's a voting aspect, but I think you really hit on the head of, do you really know how your government is ran?
Exactly.
Right. And part of that isn't just those who are in the legislative branch or the executive branch. It also goes into who's making the decisions on convicting or acquitting people in jury trials.
That's right.
So you definitely, look, if you hadn't heard it before, it's you said it best. You know, are you the type of person that likes to have other people make decisions for you?
Right.
So let me ask you this, because you touched on, you know, you're currently working with nonprofits for our community. What are you doing? What are you doing right now? What is your job in this nonprofit with these nonprofits?
So at the Heartland Workers Center, let me just say one thing before we leave that last conversation. I asked a lady to get registered to vote for the midterm election, and she said, "Yeah, I don't get registered to vote." She said, "As soon as you get registered to vote, they call you out for jury duty."
Yes, they do, and that's why.
Exactly. So that was funny. But at the Heartland Workers Center, we stand on 3 pillars. That's civic engagement, leadership development, and workers' rights. So during an election cycle, everything kind of, I shouldn't say everything, but most things kind of geared toward getting out the vote, making sure we're talking to people, we're getting folks registered to vote, we're having people apply for the early voting ballot application. If there are candidate forums going on, we're informing individuals of where they're taking place at, so you can physically show up and ask questions, or you can join in virtually, whatever the case. But during an election cycle, civic engagement is up. Being that the election is over right now, we're going into 2023, which is not an election year. So therefore, at that point, 2023 is going to be pretty much about leadership development.
Okay. And
leadership development, we're able to do that through one-on-ones. I go places where conversations are being had, I should say, about ways to improve whatever the forum or conversation is about. If it's something that piques our interest, we'll go to that place and we'll listen to the audience and the speakers. And when we see people that we consider activated, and activated means that, you know, you hear, you want to talk, you want to get engaged. You know, you wouldn't be here if you wasn't that type of person who's already, you know, actively doing something to improve a situation. So I'll kind of sneak up on you. Hey, how you doing? I'm Wyshell with the Heartland Workers Center. I like what you said. Here's my business card. Can you and I, you know, discuss this further? And normally the person will be like, yay, nay. If it's yes, we'll schedule the one-on-one meeting. We can meet in person or virtually. And I kind of just get to know that person and find out what they're passionate about, you know, why they're activated. And we want to continue those one-on-one meetings. If we're able to continue them, that's great, because we also do monthly community meetings, which we call core team meetings. And core team meetings is when I've met with you, we've had one-on-ones, we're on the same page. Now it's like, let's come to the monthly meetings, because now this is where we really get activated. Because whatever it is that you're passionate about, we have to discuss it thoroughly so we can take action and work to, get some type of resolve there. So with the leadership development, me being an organizer, it's not my call to say, hey, community members, we're going to address gang violence. Why aren't we outraged about gang violence? If violence was this bad in other communities, there would be an outcry, there'd be an outrage, and somebody would do something to curb the violence. No one's going to let you just murder their people on a daily. However, in our community, it's happening.
Yes.
There's no outrage. There's nothing in place to stop it. It's just happening. So if this infuriates you and you want to do something to resolve it, I can't make that call. It's up for the leaders in the community to do it, because I'm an organizer. My job is to find those people that are activated, who want to do something to improve our situations. And I bring you where we all organize. We start identifying who's going to do what information is needed, who do we need to talk to, and we go from there. So leadership development is about taking it from gossip and complaints to actually doing more to, get some type of resolve and improve the community.
Now you called yourself an organizer, and I gotta admit that the only time I've, when that term came out and it became real big, first person I think of is Barack Obama. Right? And so essentially you are doing what Barack Obama did in Chicago, but here in Omaha. Is that
That's
correct?
Right.
Okay.
And that's funny, because I used to always use like my kids, if someone see me doing my work, they're like, this don't look like no job. And is it really a profession? And I always go, hey, Barack Obama was.
He was. Yeah. So next thing you know, you might be running for governor or a senator, because
you never know.
Yeah.
For the government, that's pretty much what you got to do to run for those positions. You got to know what the job description is.
Yes. So I guess the next question is, because you are a grassroots organizer, what does grassroots entail then?
So grassroots, it more so entails just, again, everyday people. Like some people, I remember when I first started doing this work, and I would call the individuals leaders, because like I said, we're looking for leaders, and I'd be like, you're a leader. I'm not a leader. I mean, so many people did not want to identify with the word leader. Mm. And a leader is, yes, you are a leader. I mean, a lot of us, we're mothers, we're fathers. If you're, the breadwinner of that household, you're making it happen for that household. You're the leader of that family. You know what I'm saying? You got a job description. You got people working under you. You're a leader. A lot of people don't want to identify that they're leaders. And in grassroots, organize, it's identifying everyday people that want to do more than complain about stuff, and getting them civically engaged, having them take the step to learn more about how the government works, how politics work, how you can go from complaining about gang violence in your community to actually doing something to rid your community of gang violence. So it's just those individuals that are activated. Again, it's just simply citizen participation in government. I think grassroots lobbying is, or organizing, I should say, is kind of like different than direct lobbying, So grassroots organizing is just doing it on the most fundamental level possible,
And so, as a grassroots organizer, what problems have you faced and addressed in the past?
I must admit that, again, I started doing this work in 2018, just knocking on doors. 2019 wasn't an election cycle season, I should say. 2020 comes and COVID hits.
Yep.
So 2018, 2019, we were like rock stars. Like my community meetings were large. I mean, like I can send out invites and have people come to our office. We had a space that hold 50 people easily. And we can I like to do them once a month. They were so engaging that the people were like, can we do this every 2 weeks? Do we really have to wait once a month to do this? So I'm like, hey, if y'all ready to go, let's go. I went to every 2 weeks and we were knocking them out every two weeks. more people going each one. It was an each one teach one thing. You know what's going on here. Invite somebody else out. Preferably I like to do a one-on-one with anybody before I invite them to the community meeting, because we also like to see the community meetings as a safe space. So I want to talk to you, check your mental faculty, see if I can bring you around these good people, without you scared anyone or anything crazy like that. But it was happening. And when COVID hit and it changed the way everybody does business, organizing has looked different to me in the last 2 years. It didn't look like the first 2 years. And I think it just has a lot to do with, COVID coming in and just flipping things upside down. Optimistically, I'm hoping the further we get away from COVID, we can get back to those large numbers and people, showing up and showing out. But yeah, it was great. I guess I don't remember the direct question. I hope I answered that.
Well, the next question is, what problems are you currently looking to address?
So again, it depends on the leaders in the community. It's not my call.
Right.
But the people that I'm working with right now, of course. Oh, also, with the regular community core team that I run, I also do a group for returning citizens, where we want to bring individuals system impacted in and have kind of meetings just for them and their family and friends, because they're faced with different challenges than everyday citizens. So when I'm out getting individuals registered to vote, I run across people all the time and they say, I can't vote. And I say, you don't mind my asking, why can't you vote? Oh, I'm a felon. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, if you don't mind my asking, how long has it been since you had your felony? And they'd be like, oh man, it's been 10 years. It's been umpteen years. And I'm like, you do know the laws have changed in Omaha. And now if you've been out the penitentiary and off parole for 2 years, you can get registered to vote. A lot of people are like, nah, I didn't know that. For real? And I'm like, yeah. So again, bringing that education to people, if I tell your mother that, say I can't reach the son with the felony conviction, now that I've informed the mother, she can go inform him. A lot of this, each one teach one, spread the word, share the information, and keep going. Something else that interesting that you were saying, that is once you get a felony conviction in Nebraska, you pretty much can never do jury duty. Like, you can get registered and vote again, but jury duty is like out the question. And then we have to wonder, why is that? If these people are the ones system impacted, and you would think they would almost be experts on, determining who's guilty and who's not. But they'll never get the opportunity to sit on that jury and do that for their peers. So and who would know that? I didn't know that until I started, again, seeking this information, this knowledge, and getting it and understanding how this stuff works.
So, but going back, so you don't necessarily drive what issues is being addressed at any given time. You're just coordinating those who are acted individuals, correct?
Right. That's
okay.
Right. And one thing it's been, well, I should say in the beginning, it was really hard for me to do that because I'm from the same community, and I could tell you the problems in their community too, but as an organizer, you have to fall back and realize you're an organizer, they're the leaders. Excuse me, honey. Go up in your room. I'm on the thing. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you this way then. What is the current issue that the leaders in our community are currently trying to address?
We're still outraged by mass incarceration. So many families are being devastated by the absence of mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. It's just taking a serious toll on our family, because with this inflation that we see now, with everything being increased, you might have just one parent in the house. And if she's working a job, rent, you got to make a certain amount of money to even be able to live in a decent neighborhood. If you ain't got, if the mother's not making $3,000 a month, which a lot of these women in our communities aren't, then you're subjected to live in the worst neighborhoods. And if you at work trying to get money, then your kids is outside getting involved with stuff they shouldn't do. And it's just killing us because good mothers, mothers that are doing the best they can. Some of them are single fathers. You got fathers. We got people out here doing the best they can. But with inflation and mass incarceration, we're just losing. Because you can't be at home to see what your kid doing, and then you come home and the police at your house. What? Or I could just go. So mass incarceration is one thing. Affordable housing is another thing. A lot of people, ever since I've been doing this organizing, affordable housing. And we just have to wonder, we're kind of learning that affordable housing doesn't necessarily exist. You can find some places that does mixed incomes, and stuff like that, where everybody living here might be paying $15,000 to $2,000, but someone lets you slide in and you might be paying $700. That exists, but not on a large enough scale. Even the Section 8s and stuff like that, it's like those can eventually work against you. Because if you have Section 8, then you can't make a certain amount of money. So a lot of people, you got people turning down promotions at work just so they can have what they consider affordable housing. So we're trying to find a way to truly enjoy affordable housing. There's a big problem with individuals coming out the penitentiaries with these felonies, and nobody will rent you. Even if some of these guys come out, they can get a job at Pepsi, corporations that get incentives for hiring felons. So these people make good money, but making good money ain't gonna help you get into that apartment. That felony conviction on your record. So we got those ills. The gang violence, like I said, believe it or not, a lot of these parents are outraged. How do we fix this? How do we address this? That's an issue. A lot of people are outraged with and want to organize around getting better representation. So a lot of times, especially in my early years about organizing, I would get individuals and we go sit in the city council meetings and see what's really going on. You go sit in a city council meeting. Oh my God. I remember when I first started attending those meetings, I couldn't believe what was happening there. And colors in communities where a lot of Black people live, the most things we saw coming in those communities was people looking for a liquor license. Mm-hmm. Another liquor license in North Omaha to add to the social ills that already exist there. And I just see people, yeah, it's a business. Go ahead. And then I see other communities, $1 million projects. You have to just wonder, where's North Omaha's $1 million project? Mm-hmm. Opportunity to make real money. We're starting to. Enough people have advocated in the last 4 or 5 years, but they say it's coming, it's almost here. But it hasn't been here. Well, with the streets.
Well, I think you hit it on the head with you're having multiple different issues. Yes. that are affecting a community or the community. Right. And I guess the next question is with having all these issues, how does an organizer or how does these leaders, look to resolve these issues? Because one is I think you said it, for better representation. You start off with, you kind of got to show up to know what's going on to begin with.
Exactly. There's one of my favorite spills to community members is that power in numbers. I said, when you got just one of us going to advocate for the community, it's so easy to say that person's crazy. She's a loose cannon. What's wrong with her? You get 2 or 3, they still some weirdos. That's what people said about us, But again, then when you start showing up 20, 50, 100 deep, now you're forced to be reckoned with. And I tell our community, we underestimate power in numbers. When we have a large community meeting, more of us benefit from when just 3, 4 of us show up. I tell people all the time that when I look at the organizers of the past, like the Malcolm X's, the Dr. Martin Luther King and stuff like that. And I said, that was serious work. Some of those who lived a long life without assassination, like the Ella Bakers and stuff like that. These people were committed to not only improving life for them, but for all of us. And that was so selfless. But a lot of our people are so selfish, and they got this nuclear idea of what family is. My family is me, my husband, my 2 kids. I don't care about the rest of the community. We cool. Y'all figure it out like we figured it out. And I think that nuclear mentality is a disadvantage for the overall community. I see people, y'all good, but you have to know there's not even a room for all of us to be great. It just isn't. Too many traps. You know what I'm saying? So some of us can finesse and, get up out of here and become very successful. But on a larger scale, I can't say that's possible. It's too many traps, but I just kind of, my mind is in and out sometimes.
No, you're good. You're good. I know it's late. And it's a Thursday and it's cold and we've been going all week long. I understand entirely, but I'm gonna bring you back to this. If somebody's looking to become even one, an organizer like you or a leader in the community, how do they go about that?
All they have to do is give us a call at the Heartland Workers Center. We have plenty. Well, we got organizers. We organize in North Omaha, South Omaha, West Omaha. We organize in the rural areas, like we're in Schuyler, Nebraska, Nebraska City, Columbus, what's that, West Point. So we have organizers in different areas. And all you have to do is pretty much call us. Our direct number is 402-933-6095. Call us and let us know what area you're in, and we can connect you with an organizer in that area. And it's as simple as you can come to the office and meet with us. We can meet virtually. We like to, if you want to meet somewhere in public, we're open to that too. As long as it's a safe space, our organizer will come. We'll do the one-on-one. One-on-ones can last 15 minutes to an hour. Conversation get real good and you really activated. We can sit there for 2 hours. And like I said, when they're having those community forums where knowledge is being shared, from elected officials or people who've developed themselves into leaders, I let people know, hey, this is going on here. Meet me there, show up there. And that's how we do. We work with other nonprofits. So we notice a lot of us can come together and collaborate. You have an audience that I don't have, let's share, let's build, So I've noticed that since COVID that more of that's been needed. Just organization to organization, coming together and sharing their access to individuals to let them know about what's more of what's going on.
So I cheated.
Yeah. I'm glad you cheated. That was good.
Yeah. So this is your website right here.
Yeah, and that's us organizing and canvassing. That's the get out the boat. We put our jackets. We have stipend leaders that we pay to go out with us. We ask them to do 12 hours a week. We give them stipends, and when that's over, like I said, we come out of election cycle. We want those same stipend leaders to convert into our core team, and we keep going. So much work to be done, and we're doing it.
So it's a combination of first off, you gotta reach. So here's an opportunity, right? An opportunity to say, if I want to be a organizer or a community leader in my community, here's a resource that I can reach out to, which is the Heartland Workers Center. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then second off, and this isn't just for those who are, I mean, because when we think of organizing, we think of grassroots. Generally, we think of our youth, do we not? We think of those in the college age group range.
Yes, people do think of that, and that's awesome. However, one thing I stress as an organizer is that this is not for just one generation to do. A lot of times, people think it's the youth needs to get this work done, but I think it has to be an intergenerational connection. We need all hands on deck, from the youngest to the eldest, because all of us bring knowledge and experience that the other one can't. And if we can work together as a team, we can be more effective, you know. So a lot of people want to say, hey, let the youth do it, and the youth just complain about the work that the elders done. And I'm like, nah, we need to get this done by all means. All hands on deck, power in numbers. So that's what I like to do as an organizer. When I was getting folks registered to vote, I would meet a lot of elders who say, oh, I used to be an organizer. I used to be a congressional aide. I used to. And I'm like, why can't you do that right now? Who timed you out? You still here. There's still work to be done. Don't let them box you. I ain't letting them box me. So let's do this, you know?
Yeah. So what are some of the means and methods for which these issues that we were talking about get addressed? I mean, the first part is, I mean, you talk about mass incarceration, affordable housing, gang violence, and better representation. But I guess my ultimate question is, once these leaders get together and they've been organized to come together for a mutual issue, how do they affect change?
Again, they show up at the city council meetings during a legislation cycle when bills are being introduced. They testify for bills that they want to see go forward. They testify against bills they want to see die. They get into the schools. I remember when we was organizing and the whole thing came up with the, what are they calling that? What they call that nonsense about not teaching history in school? Yeah, so we was organizing around to go into the, what are y'all talking about? What's being said, you know? So it's like just showing up, you know, because when you like, even like, you can see a city council or you can see at the state legislature. If you don't show up in numbers to advocate for yourself, it's like on to the next. Whoever showed up in numbers, that's who gets what they want. You know, again, they show you what power and numbers look like. We show up, there was more of us there, we win.
So let me ask you this. What about for those, I mean, because we talked about earlier, like you have some of these people who are single moms and they're barely holding on to their own jobs. How do they get involved when their time and resources are as limited as they are?
They send an email. They need a template where they can just pencil their name. I'll give you a template, okay?
So it's not just a matter of having to physically be present. You can still be
physically present. And see, people don't know that. So it's like in a one-on-one, you tell me that's what's hindering you. That's why you can't show up. Then I tell you about the template. I pull it out for you. Here you go. I'll lead you to the website to educate you more because you didn't even know that either. So it's all about lack of knowledge. They say people perish with the lack of knowledge. And a lot of stuff that's going on in our community is simply a lack of knowledge. That's why I was so intrigued by this, because I had to be honest with myself. I have a lack of knowledge as it applies to civic engagement in the way the government is ran. And a lot of us just have to be honest with ourselves and say the same thing and humble ourselves to be open to learn more. We don't know it all.
I appreciate, I can't even tell you how much I just appreciated your humility.
Yes.
Because the whole reason for the power hour is because we have a lack of knowledge.
That's right.
And what the power hour is built upon is passing on social capital.
That's right.
So we have the knowledge in order to do what we need to do to connect, empower, and champion ourselves to bring our own selves up, as opposed to having the handouts and having somebody else and relying on other people and other organizations to get us out of our own mess.
That's right.
So I fully appreciate you saying what you said, which is it is our lack of knowledge. But then again, that goes back down to how do we get this knowledge, right? And part of it, correct me if I'm wrong, is they can reach out to you at the Heartland Workers Center when it comes
to pull up our website, just like you just did too. www.heartlandworkerscenter.org. And a lot of times people pull up our website, you know, especially from the Black community, they looking like, all I see is Latinos. Is y'all only organizing Latinos? No, we're literally creating communities that work for all. The ED of the Heartland Workers Center happens to be a Latina lady. And her name is Lena Traslavina. I love working with them because a lot of people, talk about, well, the Latinos are making a lot of progress. Yes, and they're making a lot of progress because they're doing the work. Again, and they understand power in numbers.
Yes. So the first part is you gotta show up.
You gotta show up.
The second part is you then gotta do the work.
You gotta do the work.
So what you're telling me is there is no handout to the change you want to see. There's no handout to getting that. You can't rely on somebody else to show up and do the work for you.
You can't. Ain't no hookups. No quick fixes. and I'm glad you said that, because something else about organizing is that when you speak of the impediment is that people think there's a quick fix. There's no quick fix for this. Ella Baker, the longest living civil rights activist we had, she organized for 50 years. So I can get someone to organize and be on my team for 2 months. Y'all ain't doing that. 2 months expired. We got elders who did this for 50 years. You have to understand, this is not a fly-by-night arrangement. This is stuff that you have to understand. We're in it for the long run. I mean, if you come in thinking, oh, I'm going to invest 2-3 months in this, that's the problem. We possibly, just like Ella Baker, when she passed, she was still organizing. The brothers we lost, Brother Malcolm, Brother Martin, if they would have lived, they would have still been organizing. They understand this is a long fight. This is not a quick fix. So we only got about less than 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure we cover all our bases, right? And a part of that is a matter of the commitment, because I think what you're hitting on is what is our commitment level to our community? Is this and even then, I think you hit it on one of the biggest issues is we're so selfish about where we are, that we're not willing to go out and connect with others to raise all of us up. That's right.
So first off, it's addressing that selfishness. And then second off, it's about actually putting in the work. That's right. And I think culture-wise, do we not have an issue with how we kind of look at ourselves as culture? And maybe it's the competitive nature that we're so ingrained to look at our brothers and sisters and think that we are better than. Right. So how do we address some of those fundamental mindsets? It really starts with a purging of yourself and, checking your own belief system, because I can honestly say that the way I was brought up by my great-grandparents is it was real organic, to where when they say want for your brothers and sisters what you want for yourself, it seemed like that was just instilled in me at an early age. Like, as soon as I started touching money and stuff, I wasn't happy with just being fly by myself. Oh, my homegirl, what you want? What you think? We together. I need you to be fly. My brothers, my cousins, like I said, I introduced them into that world because I wanted all of us to have it, And now that I'm organizing and doing it differently, the knowledge I have, and the people that I've been exposed to, when I'm dealing with the leaders on my team, my core team, I'm doing for them what Dr. Donna did for me. Like I said, Dr. Donna Polk, the lady I told you who questioned me. Yep. She's she got some pull, she got some clout, and she would take me with her and she would introduce me like I was just the greatest person on the planet. And I'm looking at her like, you do know I'm just like a little, I'm trying to figure this. I'm not who you said I was, I'm looking at her like that, but she saw, yes, you are who I say you are. And that's kind of how I'm doing my people. They like, I'm not, yes, you are, who you say you, yes, you are. We really got to want for our brothers and sisters what we want for ourselves, Their struggle is our struggle, What can we do to bring each other up? We got to get out of this mentality that we are not to be trusted. We're dealing with a lot of ramifications of slavery in the Willie Lynch system. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that, but we got to shake those mental chains off our brains, because that's what's happening to us.
in slavery, you know, it was okay to fight your brothers and sisters, but you dare not speak loudly or aggressively to that Caucasian master. You better not do it. And a lot of us still like that. Like, all my pain and frustration and resentment, only person I'm gonna take it out on is the person who look just like me. That's a problem.
It is.
Because guess what? The ones who are closer to us, the ones we hurt the most. Something's wrong with that. We're operating backwards, upside down. Something's not right. And that's why we have to do our own mental evaluation. Where are we mentally? Something else that a lot of community members are wanting to address is the mental illness in our community. You know, matter of fact, December 6th, we got a forum coming up where we're going to have some mental health practitioners, you know, talk to the community about what mental illness looks like, where you can get treatment, you know, practically free or little or nothing. You know, we're going to have Dr. Donna Polk talk. We're going to have Larry Duncan talk. We're going to have Frank Bailey talk and Tamika Meese. All these, you know, are doing the work, because a lot of us think when someone suggests that you need to speak with a counselor and stuff that you're crazy. I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm saying you've been exposed to some trauma. You got some issues that you need to talk about, and you know, and this is where the counselors come in. If we can address some of these issues and help you get your mental faculty right, then you know we can move forward in a healthy and productive manner.
And I think you hit it on the head. Our community is facing multiple different issues, and there isn't one source of solution to these issues. But yet, how this community addresses it starts off with, first and foremost, you got to take off your own mental chains and your own perspectives of what you think things look like. You got to recognize that you need the knowledge in order to understand what is going on and what the system is. Then you got to show up.
Show up and show out. Because I remember one time I was dealing with this brother and I was doing one-on-ones with him. And then I, you know, try to get him registered to vote. And he's like, nah, I still ain't gonna get registered to vote. And I was like, why not, brother? You know, like, I mean, you know, I started educating him on that. And he was like, nah. So I think that was like 2018 maybe, or 2021 of them. But the next year I went at him again, you know, because he was still coming to the monthly meetings and one-on-ones and everything. And then I talked him into it. I forgot what angle I hit him with, but I had to come from a certain angle and it worked. And you know, the next year that brother was running for city council. It was like, when you get people activated, ain't no telling where they're gonna take it, you know. And it could just really be a beautiful thing, you know. And even, you know, with the kids, you know, like with my kids, they looking at me like, dang, mom, you know, you really on something else. And I get it. It's important for us to lead by example. It's hard for us to say, don't do this, don't do that. But you got people who witness that you're still doing wrong.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a lot of sacrificing. I mean, you might want to keep that side hustle going, but we're going to need to legitimize that side hustle because we're leading by example.
And I think you hit on the head with what the Midlands African Chamber is all about, right? We empower, we champion, connect. And part of that comes into the empowerment is giving people knowledge about business, about wealth, about prosperity, about how to make a difference, how to bring themselves up without having to ask me for the handout. The second part about that is, you hit it on the head. There is power in numbers.
Yes.
If you have a business, if you have an organization and you need support, the chamber is about connecting people to people so you can get support. If you don't show up to events, then expect people to show up to your events. How is that going to work?
Exactly. And I love the work you all are doing too. I'm just so glad you guys are there. Because matter of fact, the same guy I was talking about who ran for city council, he was also in y'all Pitch Black. So, I mean, yeah, once people are activated, like I said, you never know where they're going to take it.
Yeah, and it goes into a matter of, we are looking to activate the business and the wealth in our community because what was it, just last weekend, I'm pretty sure it was record box office, biggest record for box office Wakanda, Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it isn't that we don't have buying power. It's not that we don't have the wealth in our community. It's where we spend that wealth. And it's definitely not amongst ourselves.
Exactly. And that's the problem. Because, you know, those thriving communities, again, if you look at the Latinos in particular, they're not really stepping outside their community to spend money with nobody, because they trying to, you know, they got all ends covered. I mean, they saw what they had to do and they doing the work. And again, I like to tell people, a lot of groups are able to do that because what happened to us didn't happen to them. They didn't go through the Willie Lynch cycle like we did. So that's why I say there's things we have to address prior to thinking that we even have it in us to do that.
Right. And I think we're on the right track to do that. I think first and foremost right now, it's a matter of understanding those basics. And the basic is that self-assessment of where you are in your own head. In fact, we got less than 5 minutes. I'm stealing this from somebody close to me, and they put on this quote that said, "The ultimate form of preparation is not planning for a specific scenario, but a mindset that can handle uncertainty."
That is correct.
Right. That's and correct. So I think as we grow as a community, you hit it on the head of, it starts off with our mindset.
Yeah.
And understand we don't know everything. And then what do we do in order to fix that?
Right. Oh, and speaking of something that was said, I also say this, that when people tell me they don't want to get civically engaged, I heard someone say that it's not a problem. What they said is that they said the problem with politics is that we leave it to the politicians. And it's like, no, we elected you. It's almost like you work for me.
Yes.
But you didn't got a job that you just get to do what you want with no accountability. So if we're just going to leave it to them, then what's the purpose of the whole voting process and, you know, holding them accountable? Well, you can't just leave it to them. It's like you hire me to do the work and then you just take off and just send me my check. You don't know what I'm doing.
But we do that so often. We do that so often, right? And we are not holding them accountable. We're not holding our elected officials accountable. We're not holding anybody accountable. We can barely hold ourselves accountable. So the real question comes back down to is what point in time in our mindset are we going to hold ourselves accountable to demand the things that we want and that we need, and then to say, I'm going to show up and do the work.
And that's the problem. People, like I said, they'll be on board for a couple of months. It felt good for a couple of months, but I'm still here. Food's still getting killed.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with the chamber, right? And you know, you got me on my soapbox right now about, look, the chamber is here for its members, but the chamber is its members. The chamber isn't some entity that just comes off and be like, oh, the chamber can stroke check, the chamber can support. The support is the members in the chamber. The support is you as a member showing up and showing out.
That is so correct.
It's doing the work, and part of that work is, how are you raising other people's businesses? That's right. That people can raise your business.
That's right. And I commend you all for that too, because y'all leading by example. No one can say that you guys aren't doing what you just said you're doing. Anyone take a look at the work you guys are doing, and you guys are just every year
getting better.
That's proof.
We growing, we're getting better, and we got to practice what we preach, right? So
exactly. That's right.
Part of that is we don't know it all, and we ain't gonna pretend that we do. In fact, the first year we did Pitch Black, we learned. What we learned that everybody comes from a different spot, so we need to equal the playing field of knowledge. So the second year we had workshops and said, okay, we're going to give everybody the same workshop so they come at an equal playing field, right? This next year, we learned even more. Now we have an accelerator. Come on. Come get some, right? Because at the end of the day, we are still about the mission. We are championing, empowering, connecting our business and our brothers and sisters, either in the Black community, the African diaspora community. It doesn't matter. We are about raising the community. and we put our money where our mouth is.
That's right. And
right.
We so appreciate you.
Yeah. So it comes into a matter of whether it's in the business mindset or the civic mindset. It all starts off with what is your mindset and what are you doing about changing the mindset about how you can make a difference in the community. Number one. Right. Number two, showing up.
That's right.
Right, showing up, because we put on roll calls every month. We just had our annual meeting, and can I tell you, this annual meeting was impactful because not only did we tell you what we did in the past, but we're telling you what we're going to do in the future with the money of our members.
Right.
Right. And if you have something to say about it, that was your opportunity to say something about it and say, hey, I want this to happen. In fact, we had a brother who did say something about how we need to, as a chamber, have a focus on our nonprofits and what that's supposed to look like, because we have a lot of nonprofit members. And you know what? I thank that member for showing up and showing out, because it's indicative upon us that all our members aren't just for-profit businesses.
That's right.
Right. That's right. And in order for us to bring one up, we need to bring all up. And so he is right. The chamber is going to have to address some of the issues that face other members that are not for-profit businesses. But at the end of the day, it comes back down to what you said. We need to focus on our lack of knowledge. We need to show up, show out, and do the work.
That's right. And don't be afraid of commitment. It's almost like a marriage. Everybody want to be single.
Now I think you're putting me on, because you look with me and my dog.
Hey, let's do it. You know?
Well, that is our time, Michelle. Do you have any final words of wisdom before we end our November Power Hour?
My final word of wisdom would be get activated, do the right thing, as Spike Lee would say. I mean, and don't be afraid. Like, I mean, I really think, what some of our great leaders been assassinated like that. A lot of people are thinking in their head, I don't want to be the leader. I don't want the target on my back. I don't want to mess around and get assassinated, and I can't raise my kids. I'll never be a grandmother. I'll never be a grandfather. As much gang violence is going on in our streets right now, it's happening regardless. Our kids are being shot down. Mothers are, even in a line of fire. I mean, COVID killed a lot of people. I mean, death, none of us know our end date. So, live fearlessly, get activated, and do what God would want us to do. And to my knowledge, that's to make this world a better place than what we found it.
Amen. Amen. That is another episode of our Power Hour. I thank Michelle Davis so very much for joining us tonight. It's been my privilege and pleasure. It's an honor to meet you and to have you on. Our next Power Hour will be next month. Don't miss out on some of the events we have coming on. And again, if you are a business or even thinking about a business and looking into and being a part of our accelerator, apply now, apply early. These spots will be limited. You don't want to miss this, because this will be the only way to get into the Pitch Black competition coming this year. Don't miss out. That's free money, and money ain't free. So let's get it. Until next time, I'm Shay Ololafe, your host, your Vice President of Advocacy and Community Engagement. I'll see you next time.
Peace.